Hello, welcome back to episode 9 of Lakeside Adventure here on my Let's Play Planet Coaster series. Obviously at the end of the last episode we completed the Egypt section, so it's now time to open that up to the guests. As you've just seen, I've moved the coming soon sign over to the next bridge along, so the guests can access that area, and just opened up all the rides. So yeah, let's take a look now they're all in. I've doubled the capacity of the park, so the park is now at 1,500 guests. Again, I didn't want it packed out, but I wanted it busy enough that everywhere has guests, using the facilities and rides, etc. So yeah, it's just a quick tour around the guests using the Egyptian section, running onto the Temple Run roller coaster we put inside the pyramid, and then you can see them heading off onto the track there. So we're going to have a look elsewhere around the Egyptian section. Quite pleased with how this looks, especially with the guests in there now. I head over to the River Rapids, and there is a bit of a substantial queue there for the ride here, but that's always good to see that it's nice and popular. I could have put more boats on, but I didn't want it kind of having no queue and there being just like a constant flow of boats, and there end up being a queue of boats at the end. So yeah, I think the 4 boats I've got going on is the perfect sort of number for the operations there. We'll head over to the flat ride over here, which is very popular. This is probably one of the most popular rides in the park. To be fair, I was quite surprised when I saw how many people were wanting to ride on this. So especially with how intense it is for a flat ride, but what do I know? Clearly very popular. Inside Cairo Court here, we've got people using the shops and people using the benches on the little terrace we've got. So yeah, I think overall it's looking like a very successful area. Here we've got the sundial, which is always a good ride to put in because you can get through a lot of guests all at once there. So it's definitely a good one. The queue will never build up just because of how many people you can sit there. You've got this kid here looking very angry, and then he's jumping for joy. Very confused when I saw this guy. He seems very happy, and he just seems to have two different moods. He's either really happy, like this, or he's very angry, like that. I'm not quite sure what he's doing, but he's yeah, 2 different moods, and now he's on the ride, so he's obviously going to be very happy. So yeah, the guests are always quite fun to zoom in on and see what they do. There's still a decent queue for Rush over here, which is always good to see. I think the new guests that have come into the park since I opened up the capacity are obviously getting to the US section area first. So they're obviously the rides and the attractions that they're heading to and are wanting to ride on first. The Hammer Swing doesn't have as many guests at the minute, but again, that's probably with some guests going on to Rush and then the guests who were in there before going to the Egyptian section. I was trying to work out why this balloon ride wasn't working, so I thought I'd try and refurbish it and change the operation time. I was kind of scratching my head here, so yeah, clicked on it and tried to change the waiting load and the waiting time for the ride. And I thought, why is even if I'm altering this and not giving a minimum waiting time, why is it not doing anything? So look around the corner and there's black smoke coming out the operator's thing. So obviously the ride is broken down. You can tell how little I've actually looked at the actual operations of the park. So, and I also realised that since I built the US area, I've not actually put in any more mechanics. So I thought I'd put a couple more down, just to cover anything like this. I'm not quite sure why that guy's still playing with his circuit board when it's sparking and on fire. I would probably advise stepping away from that, but there we go. So yeah, I got the mechanics to go in there and fix that. With refurbishing that, I thought I'd hit refurbish on the Hammer Swing as well, and I thought I'd take a look at doing the roller coaster as well and hitting refurbish on that. Once I had clicked refurbish on it, I realised that this obviously closes the ride because it's now shut for maintenance. So unfortunately, once I click refurbish here, the rest of the guests that are already queuing for the ride are then sent away just like that. So yeah, apologies to those guests, but there we are. At least the ride will be nice and new for guests going forwards. I probably need to put another handyman or two because there is a little bit of litter floating around the park. But yeah, overall, I'm quite pleased with how everything's running really. Yeah, I mean the next step is to begin building on a brand new section of the park. Now, the country I've chosen for this is the Netherlands, which yeah is probably not the first country you'd deem a section of a theme park around. However, I would have liked to have done a country like China, countries like that where the architecture there is so unique. However, because I'm on console and the console doesn't have the World's Fair DLC pack yet, the Chinese architecture, and things like that aren't actually made available to me. So, unfortunately, I've got to make do with what is already in the game. And so yeah, I decided on the Netherlands. And you're probably thinking, what's going to stand out about the Netherlands? 4 things that were standing out to me: lots of flowers, windmills, canals, and very sort of neat and tidy buildings. So that's what I'm going for here. I've gone for sort of a square, neat brick pathing, and then what I thought I'd do here is build a little courtyard, have this drop tower ride in the courtyard, and then build some different buildings around it, and have the tower shooting up behind the buildings from outside, so you have to sort of walk through them to get onto it. So that was the rough idea I was going for. It's not going to be fully inside itself. It's going to be in sort of like a courtyard. You just have to walk underneath the buildings to get to it, and then you're in sort of like a flower decorated courtyard, if that's the right terminology. Wanted to change the colours here just to suit the Netherlands. Just a quick disclaimer: I've never been to the Netherlands myself. I'd love to go. It is a country I do want to visit, particularly Amsterdam. So yeah, if I'm picturing and building the Netherlands incorrectly, then I do apologise. But this is just going off my best sort of idea from what I've seen on, I don't know, maybe TV shows or seen on photos, etc. So yeah, the idea here is to build sort of three different buildings along. The buildings being different colours, not being too radical on the colours. We're not going with like bright pink houses or anything, but like different browns and oranges. And I thought I'd go with three different buildings, 3 different size buildings, different roof styles, and just have them along this sort of street front as a bit of a facade. And yeah, I think when you'll see this complete, you'll see what I mean. It does actually work really well. So my plan for the rest of this part, this isn't going to be a massive area. The first 2 areas, the US area and the Egyptian, have taken up quite a big footprint, mainly because of the pyramid in the Egyptian section and the roller coaster in the US section. Now, my plan for this area is not going to be massive. As you can see already, you can see where the path joins onto the next section. I will be using the back area of it to maybe put a roller coaster down. I don't know what style coaster yet. I don't know how big the coaster is going to be, but I think other than this flat ride, a few facilities, and I don't know, maybe another flat ride as well as the roller coaster, I think that will probably be about it for the Netherlands. So yeah, not going crazy with it, but just enough so that you can see the design there, and you can see how it and how I've sort of imagined it really. Like I say, you can see me just finishing off the gable ends of the buildings just to fit them all in now. So I think as I say, it's one of these things. The more I get through, you'll see it coming to life a little bit. It does look a bit kind of bland and basic at the minute. The material I've used here is just some smooth concrete and just coloured it, because I think when you zoom out, you don't notice it as concrete as such. So yeah, you can see there I've got the buildings sorted. So now it's just a case of putting the windows on, and this is really where the buildings start to, you start to think, yeah, that they do fit into the area. They do look good. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how these do turn out, these buildings. So this will be the sort of front on the buildings as well. Just putting these bit of planks of wood. Don't necessarily need them, but again, I think they just add something to the building that maybe, maybe isn't there without them. So yeah, it's just adding little details. It's not something I've done on the other buildings yet in this park, but yeah, I just thought it was a nice little touch, really. So so what my plan is on the path opposite these buildings, I'm going to build sort of a mini canal. The canal's not going to have anything on it. I could have, if I hadn't done a river rapids in the Egypt section, I could have put a river rapids, built into a sort of canal around the Netherlands area, but I decided that the river rapids on the Nile would be a better fit. Yeah, I won't be putting any rides or attractions within the canal. I'll probably put a few decorations, maybe a few boats and etc. Just to sort of decorate out the area, but nothing too OTT with any rides or anything. So yeah, once I've got these beams sorted, it's just a case of then decorating the other side of these facades, so that when you're in the queue line for this flat ride, which I've not named yet, then obviously you'll see the decoration from each side, and you won't just be looking at a blank wall as such. If you've got any ideas for what you want to see in the Netherlands area, then please do let me know in the comments. More than happy to get interactive with this series. Yeah, if you do want to suggest anything, then I'll more than happily give it a go. Can't promise it'll be as good as what you imagine, but yeah, I can always give something a go. Here I'm just sort of trying to copy as much of the facade as I can. You've got to be careful when you're doing the multi-select tool that it doesn't pick up too much of what you don't want to copy over. So I'm just trying to select as much as I can, so that I can just sort of paste it onto the back here, and then just adjust the walls underneath to suit the path for the queue line. I won't be putting any sort of decorations within the house, as it is just sort of like a pathway through the building, and yeah, it's not like a big tall building before the ride. If I was going to do that for a building, I'd do it for sort of like a main attraction. I probably wouldn't do it for just a flat ride, just because you get more guests for the bigger rides, and it's more worthwhile doing. So yeah, as you can see, copying the walls over makes the job a lot quicker and a lot easier to carry out. So yeah, I'm just got to tweak these walls here as to where the path goes. I did build the path first, and I could have waited and done it afterwards until I'd known where the walls were going. But I think building the path first allows me to sort of see the outline of where the guests are going to be queuing before the buildings are there, because it can sort of skew what you think the queue line looks like. So yeah, I did want to get the path in first before I did all of this, and I think it does work out really well. So yeah, I just had to tweak these walls just so they're not hanging over the edge of the path, really. So yeah, I've just got to tweak these walls, and then in between the gaps in the queue line, I want to put a lot of flowers, a lot of bushes. Obviously, Amsterdam is famous for tulips, so there'll be a lot of tulips going in. The tulips don't take up a lot of space, so to put a lot of tulips down is a very time-consuming task, and I won't subject you to the boring task of putting these tulips down, which I'm just doing here. So I will come back after I've done that.
A few moments later.
And I'm back. So yeah, the flower sections in there are done. What I wanted to do now was start work on this canal. I wanted a path on each side of it. So I thought, if I do this and lock off the scenery and the surface lot on the settings, then it would just allow me to build a canal down the middle, which I think does work out pretty well. I've just got to go back and try and smoothen out the edges a little bit, because it does look a bit repetitive. But other than that, this is exactly what I had planned. I didn't want anything. It's not going to be a massive canal. As I say, it's not a river. It is just a canal through a city, so it's never going to be massive. And then I just wanted a couple of bridges at each end to cross over the different areas. and I think it works really well. I'm quite pleased with how this is looking so far. This bit didn't have any railings on. I could have gone along and put on different fencing, but I actually thought this railing worked really well, to be fair, on the edge of the canal. So I just wanted to put the railing back onto the normal path, because if it's not broken, don't fix it. is basically the way to go about that. So I just had to join that up there. My next job, once I've got all these bits sorted, I copy and pasted the building over from the other side, which is probably cheating a little bit. I could have done bespoke buildings, but I'm going to do different buildings down the side, and you're not going to be looking at these buildings at the same time as you're going to be looking at the other buildings. So having them both with similar designs isn't going to affect anyone, I don't think. Obviously, just have to move these walls forward a little bit, because obviously there's no queue line there anymore. So yeah, that was my plan to save a bit of time there. Was to just bring that forward. There you can see obviously the flowers that I'd copied over from the other side, and here's all the tulips I placed. Which, yes, as you can see on the side there's about 400 tulips in that section. I think 452 it says there. So yeah, a lot of flowers going in, but it does bring a lot of colour into the area. So yeah, I'm pleased with it, even though it did take me a long time to do. So yeah, just finished off these buildings. The last thing I kind of want to aim to do in this area is bring the train through. I'm just going to put a sign here onto the top of the queue line, just to advertise the ride. I was trying to work out the best sort of sign to go onto these buildings. So I thought this little wooden sign kind of blended in with the wooden planks I put on. So I've just called it Aero Amsterdam. That was my sort of go-to name that first came into my head. If you've got a better name suggestion, then please let me know. If you've got a better pun on the Netherlands, that'd be good. So yeah, here's me just bringing the railway through. Now, what I wanted to do was to bring this through one of the buildings. I wanted to bring the track as if it was coming through. As I say, I want the train to be interactive all the way through the park. So I thought that's how best to do this here, and get it going over the canal at the end. So you can lower the track, you can lower and raise it, and I could lower it and go through a building at a lower height. However, I didn't want to have the train going up and down massively. I wanted to try and keep it as level as possible throughout the park. I have had to dip it a little bit in other areas, but I think on the whole I want it to be roughly the same height, which is why I've kept it the height that it is. I just want to fencing in the supports there for the train track, and I just want to fence in these flowers down here. I'm going to start using the fencing a bit more, especially when I want the areas to look very neat and tidy, like in this Netherlands section. I will be using the different fencing in the game, as opposed to just relying on the railing that automatically comes with the path. So yeah, that's my plan for that. I'm going to have, in this open little space here, I'm going to put a few facilities, a few shops. I was going to hide a staff room here. So I'm just going to put a staff building there, and probably put a building around it underneath the facade, and then underneath this section have a toilet, have a food and a drink outlet, and then maybe on the other side, because I can't quite fit another shop there, I'll put some sort of like claw machines or amusements there, and that's how we'll get around that. So yeah, this is just a case of plonking another building down. So I just need to get the facades right first to get the right measurements down for the building, and then it's just building another section where this will go up, and this will meet the train, and the train will go through that area. So I think it does all come together quite nice. I thought this sort of light green, lime green colour kind of worked really well. As you can see, I've kind of sat it back underneath, because that's where I want the sort of claw machines, / amusements. I've not got any in the park at the moment, so I thought that would go really well there. Here you can see I'm just getting the outline of the building sorted so that the train can pass through there without any issues. Because it's going off at an angle, I do need to sort of cantilever the building over the edge a little, and that's what I'll do, which is fine. You know, it's not a it is an unusual design, but it's not unheard, you know, it's not unheard of. People do that with buildings, and it does look quite nice. So yeah, I just wanted to put this over here and just carry on making this little building really. So yeah, I'll leave this with you, and I'll come back once I've done it. Hello, welcome back. So yeah, you can see me here just putting in the claw machines. Did try and fit a vending machine in, but I don't think it's quite spacious enough just for that. And yeah, I've just got to do the internal sections now, just so you're not looking through an empty whole box. Just want to put some walls down the sides, just to kind of section off the train from the rest of the building, really. Otherwise, it would kind of ruin the effect if you saw just the shell of the building from the inside. So yeah, I just want to section this off, put a roof on the area and underneath the track. So yeah, that's the start of the Netherlands area. Really pleased with how that's looking so far. And in the next episode, I'll be building a big ride. So yeah, see you then. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.